Hello, 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 YouTube. How you guys doing today? Welcome back to the second episode of Real Talk Therapy 101 with your girl, Ebony. Thank you guys so much for, again, the continued text messages and reaching out and seeing if I'm okay, bearing with me through. I don't know what this is. I call it the crud, or sometimes I say the hank because we don't, went to the emergency room. There's no COVID. There's no flu. Some sinus stuff, little upper respiratory. But at the end of the day, I'm beginning to feel a whole lot better. And so I'm so glad and thankful for those of you who have checked for me and have been checking for me. So we're back. We're back in full effect this week on Real Talk Therapy. And if you're new to the channel, please look at yesterday's video. On Mondays, I give the bio of who I am, what this channel was created for. You can also see it on the YouTube page. And just give you a little bit about what we do here and how we talk about moving through our spiritual journeys. All of us are on one. Not our spiritual journeys, I'm sorry. Our mental journeys. But sometimes our mental journey causes us to tap into our spiritual. And this week, we are talking about fear. And what it looks like and what it means and how to embrace fear, because every last one of us in adulthood, when we become adults, whether we're in, early adulthood, middle adulthood, or late adulthood, we have some fears. And we're going to talk about those this week and unpack them and come up with some strategies to help us to deal with those things. That's what we do here. But before we ever get started, you guys know I'm going to talk about the custom t-shirt of the day, the Coach bag and or accessory of the day, and the kicks of the day, the sneakers that we're wearing. So those of you that know me by now can probably kind of guess and tell how I'm putting what with what. The only issue I have this week, and hopefully by the end of this week, it will be cleared up. We're doing some renovations to the house. And so that meant packing up some stuff and putting stuff here, putting stuff there. So I cannot get to my Coach bag bin. So I've been stressed about that. So I've just kind of had to use what I could get out, what's easily accessible to me. So at any rate, before we go to our shirt, let's go ahead, and we are carrying our signature horse and carriage because it has a little of the gray in there, a little, handy dandy dainty backpack that we're using. And we are wearing the gray, Heather Gray Vapor Max. Our shirt, same thing from yesterday, same thing all week. We're just going to switch up the colors and the designs for it. But fear, and we're looking at fear as face everything and recover. Early on in the channel, when I was getting started and trying to tap into how I wanted to do this and what I wanted to do, and I went back and looked at some people that I follow on YouTube. I asked all these people that were YouTube connoisseurs that watched it all the time, and they knew so much about YouTube. I was trying to get over the fear of sitting down and recording and talking to complete strangers, knowing that at some point there would be some people that would tap into this channel that knew me that I did not invite and or ask to tap into this channel. And I started to have a fear of, what if I fail at this? And throughout this journey and throughout talking with you guys and having these conversations, I've learned that failure is an option, even though we've always been taught that it's not. Failure happens. We don't always accomplish the things that we set out to accomplish. So we can no longer be afraid to fail because that's part of the process. The most important thing with failing is if it's something you really want to do, you pick yourself up, dust yourself off, and you try it again. If it's not something that you really want to do and you fail, that's a blessing in disguise because you didn't have no business trying to do it in the first place. So the strategy this week is how we look at fear. What does fear mean to us? Yesterday, I shared with y'all one of my major fears, and it's cats. It's going to be hard for me. But if I never face it, I'll never be able to understand why some people prefer cats over dogs, or why some people are kitten lovers, and, all of these things. My neighbor loves cats. And they're beneficial for where I live at. Living out here and in the country, I love it, but so do the animals that live in the woods. So do the snakes, and so do whatever else is out there. And there's time to time, we wake up in the middle of the night to our ring going off, and we have a yard full of deer. Anytime I open up my ring or look on the security system and I see my front yard filled with deer, I automatically get afraid, because what if they come running towards my house? So I have the fear associated with anxiety. And remember, generalized anxiety. Remember Piglet. Remember that DSM diagnostic of anxiety. Now, these deer just out there eating whatever they find in my front yard. They ain't thought about coming this way, or at least I hope they ain't thought about it. But I began to create in my mind, laying in the bed at 2 o'clock in the morning, looking at a yard full of deer, they're going to run into my house. Now, when we allow fear to consume us and we follow that anxiety down the rabbit hole, remember Alice in Wonderland, when we start chasing that what if that may not ever be a possibility, it's so easy to get caught up in it, because we've created the scenario in our mind. And it takes me a good little while to go back to sleep, because I need to see these deer go back into the woods or go back wherever they came from and not be heading towards my house. I use that example to help you tap into what are some things that happen to you and you immediately go to worst case scenario in your mind. Now, talking it out, seeing the deer leave, I can go back to sleep. But the reality of it is they could come right back. They have come right back. And then there's been times where we've slept through the ring. We didn't hear it. And you wake up the next day like, oh man, the ring went off at 3 o'clock in the morning, and you open it up, yard full of deer. In addition to cats, I don't like frogs either. And growing up, let me just share where these internal fears came from. I am the oldest of 4. I told you guys about my 3 brothers. Promise you, when it come to them and somebody messing with them, I have absolutely no fear. But if you do what these 3, well, it was just 2, but the 2 right up under me, the baby wasn't able to partake at this time. But all I wanted, having brothers, not having a sister, my cousins are like my brothers too. So the 2 older cousins, me and my cousin, and then my brother, then I had another brother. So I was always playing with boys until my first little girl cousin was born years later. But they, I knew how to play football. I knew how to play kickball. I knew how to play, baseball. I knew how to play all that stuff because I come from a family of people that play sports, first of all. Then it was like, that's all I could do with them. This was before, we got our first Atari and all this crazy stuff. But they would play with me when they didn't have enough people to play. But when they had enough people from the neighborhood to come and play with them, all of a sudden, I couldn't play. So I would be angry and, do things like, my grandma had this little garden and she was growing some hot chili peppers in there. And when they wouldn't play with me one time, I told them, hey, these are some strawberries. Grandma made these strawberries, and I'm going to pick y'all some so y'all can eat them. I knew that they were going to be hot when they put them in their mouth, but what I didn't know, so, I gave them the peppers. They ate them. They crying. They run in the house. Now I'm in trouble with my grandma. And what I didn't know was that the residue from the paper that's on the pepper that's on your hand. So when my grandma calls me in and she's asking me, did you pick the peppers out of my garden? And I'm like, no, ma'am. And I'm rubbing my eyes because I had allergies. So that was always my thing. And whenever my grandma got on me, I would just automatically cry because I didn't want to disappoint her. So I just start crying. And usually I could cry my way out of something when it came to my grandma. But I'm rubbing my eyes, y'all, and all of a sudden my eyes are burning. And now they really watering, and I don't know what's going on. And now I'm really crying. And my grandma looked at me and she said, yeah, you picked them. you did exactly what your brothers and your cousins said you did. But that punishment is enough. Go wash your hands, get that residue off your hands, wash your face, and it'll take a little bit for your eyes to stop burning. So nonetheless, one would think that with that lesson that I learned to stop telling lies, but trust you me, I did not. But for payback for that, they went and got a bucket and went all around picking up frogs, putting them in this bucket. And so they not playing with me. So I'm in the yard, drawing in the dirt. I don't have nothing else to do. Here they come, throw the bucket of frogs on me. Yo, I thought I was going to die. I'm wailing, I'm throwing, I'm hollering, I'm hooping, because, I mean, it's just frogs. And they jumping everywhere and making this noise. And so all this stuff is going on. But I wasn't a snitch like them. So I knew I was going to get them back. So I ain't going to tell my mama nothing. But needless to say, every time I would get them back and they would get me back, the same thing happened with this cat. So they captured this little kitten. They called me around the corner and they like, oh, Ebony, come play with us. You know, we get ready to play kickball or something. You know, you want to play? Oh, yeah, I want to play. Soon as I hit the corner, they threw the cat on me. And it's a little kitten, but the kitten declawed or whatever it does. Claws came out and it stuck to my shirt and my skin. And I could not get the cat off of me because I'm hollering and I'm doing all this. And I really don't remember how we ended up getting the cat off me. I think that was one time my mama did get involved because I remember all of us getting in trouble for that. But I didn't do nothing that time. But at any rate, that experience traumatized the girl. And I just thought if I got close to a cat, it was going to get in my skin. And not realizing that the cat or kitten was more afraid of me and whatever they had done to it before they threw it on me than I was of it. So what I'm saying in all of that is we fear things that we don't necessarily have to fear if we sit down and think about it and talk it out. Rationalize it. Now, as a child, immature, not knowing much about cats, not asking questions, I didn't realize that this cat was more afraid of me than I was of it until years down the road. And then I still didn't process that until now, sitting here talking with you all, that I've carried this fear of something that has nothing to do with where I am in life now and has nothing to do with where I'm going. I now feed the cats out there. Now, they can't come to my house. Don't get it twisted now. I ain't getting a cat. I don't want no pet. I ain't want none of that. But if we have food left over and I know the cats are out there scavenging, I take it to the end of the property line and I throw the food out. Because these cats keep the snakes away, the mice, whatever is out there in the woods, I'm in turn benefiting from something that I fear. And the cat that's out there in my yard right now is not thinking about me, trying to figure out, when they gonna throw some more food out. They come from time to time to look for that. But while they're here, if it's something else out there that I don't want to see or that I don't need to see, come on now. When the fear of something protects you from the fear of something else, hey, look at how it comes together. But we can never face these things and we can never get to that point if we never take the time to unpack all of this stuff that's on us. You gotta get to a place, a healthy place of dealing with your fear. Embrace it. I'm afraid of. If you're in a toxic relationship or a domestic, abusive relationship, whether it's physical or verbal, or if you're just in a relationship that's no longer benefiting you and you've spent years and years and years in it and you're just afraid of stepping out and doing something different. You're afraid of leaving this person because, they beat me up, but when they finish, they ask me what I want to eat, they go buy me something, yada, yada. Whatever it is, sometimes you fear not being able to go out here and get what you deserve. When you're on those jobs and those people are treating you less than, and they're taking advantage of you, and they're not, edifying you, and they're not taking care of you, and they're not doing what they're supposed to do as an employer, and you go show up, give 110% every day, but you're afraid to leave that job because you don't know if you can have something better. I want you to tap into what it is you're afraid of that's keeping you from going this next leg of your journey. Something is stopping you. And whatever it is, embrace it and try to understand it. Go talk to someone in this behavioral health profession to help you unpack that baggage. Carrying around something from when I was a girl, I'm just thinking, because of where we lived, it was somewhere between the ages of and I have to give it 5 because I don't remember a lot of stuff from a little girl. I haven't really sat down and tried to remember, but I can remember school. So I'm just going to say anywhere between 5 years of age and maybe 11. Because when I turned 12 and missed preteen, I didn't want to play anymore. I had other things I wanted to do. But in those, between those ages is when you're being molded and shaped for things. And it was between those ages where growing up with boys and having to be tough, I wasn't afraid to fight a boy. Which has me now as a grown adult woman not afraid to fight a man. And let me just say this. Physically, none of us have any business fighting anybody. But things happen. So if you get there, just know this. If there's a fight, whether it's physical or mental, somebody's going to lose. Now, if it's a physical fight, when it comes to me, you're going to know I've been there. Because we're going to fight. We're going to wumble. We're going to tumble. I don't expect to win every fight. I'm okay with losing. But what I'm not okay with is not protecting and defending myself. So when it came to my mental, I had to adopt the same attitude. Because I was so messed up around here, y'all, at one time that I'm listening to people tell me stuff that I knew was a lie and I knew it was wrong, but I wouldn't open my mouth and say anything. And I know that's hard for some of y'all to believe, especially if you just meet me and all I do is open my mouth. I had dimmed my voice because I wanted to allow other people to be okay with who they were. But in the midst of that, I was succumbing or suppressing who I am. No, that's a lie. It's wrong. Don't do it. And when I started speaking up, I was no longer the favored on the job. Or I was no longer the girlfriend to call when you wanted to do something. I was no longer the favorite in a lot of situations simply because I started protecting my mental. The only way for me to win was to start saying no and to start removing myself from situations, friendships, people, all kinds of stuff. I had to remove myself so I could find me again. So sometimes when I sit and look at my videos, I look at me at the beginning sitting at my kitchen table, talking some real good talk, but not talking it the way I talk. Not delivering it the way I deliver. So I realize I'm still finding myself in this middle adulthood stage that I'm in. And it's okay. It's okay. And my cheerleaders are still cheering. Rah, rah, rah. My fans are still coming around trying to see what's going on. Hey, y'all. Ah! And if I have any enemies, it's because they want to be an enemy. I don't dislike a person out here. Now, I've gone through some stuff with people that held me hostage for a little bit because I didn't like what you did to me. I didn't like what you tried to do to me. But I learned to let even that go. Because you can't stop me. The only thing that can stop me is me. The only thing that can stop you is you. Get out of your own way. Be strong in what you believe. Do what you want to do and do it your way, but do it within the guidelines of whatever it is you're trying to do it under, so you don't find yourself, under some situations. Y'all see, I gotta turn on my little fan. I hope y'all can't hear that, but if you can, hopefully you can hear me over it. But we just have to embrace fear for what it is. Face everything and recover. Those hard conversations. Do some role play and practice how you gonna do it. Get in the mirror and, hey, my name is Ebony and I'm tired of da-da-da. Whatever. Affirmations. Speak them into existence. This channel is gonna do exactly what I set it out to do. This channel is gonna help people free themselves. We become a slave to society. We become a slave to the jobs. We become a slave to relationships. We become a slave to our children. We become a slave to our parents. We become a slave to friendships. We become a slave to churches. Because some of y'all know y'all going to church, following some people that's not preaching the right stuff, doing some stuff that y'all know ain't right, and you sitting in there talking about amen, hallelujah, and you leaving out talking about the pastor and the rest of the people. If you got to talk about it and ain't a word worth sharing, get out. What you going for? And that won't even intend it. I don't even know where that came from. But get out. Because what are you going for? Why are you there? Man, I'm gonna have to fall back on that one. But you know it's the truth. You know it's the truth. So my conversations are different now. My phone don't ring as often as it used to because I'm not the girl that they were accustomed to calling and getting what they want, making me feel bad, manipulating me to a point of, oh, here's everything that I have. And, you're never putting anything back in. No. If you ain't putting that back in, what do we need to continue to converse for? If I see you, what's good? Hey. Because I don't dislike people. I really don't. Now, I've had periods of not liking folks, but I've learned to let that go because the more we let it go, the happier we are. Stop holding on to stuff. Just cut it out. There's no need for it. So, as I'm wrapping this thing up, we're going to continue to talk about fear the rest of this week and continue to talk about how fear can hold us hostage and cause us to be victims. And how some people, they want to be held hostage. They want to be the victim because they fear people knowing who they really are. They fear being exposed and found out. It's all right. I guarantee you. It's all right. So, on this good old Tell It Like It Is Tuesday, I want to thank you guys for stopping by. I want to thank you all for, continuing to be in these uncharted waters with me. I want to thank you all for the subscriptions, the likes, the shares, the comments. And I really, really, really want you guys to sit down, take some time, figure out what it is that's holding you back from reaching your goals, reaching your dreams, and start making things happen for you. See you guys later.